Hello everyone. This is my second video of the series of videos of external ear. In the first part, I discussed the auricle or pinna of the ear. Now I'm going to discuss the second part, that is the external acoustic or the external auditory meatus. So first, here are few pictures to give you all an orientation of the external auditory meatus. So in this picture, you can see this hole is the external auditory canal or meatus, and after that lies the tympanic membrane. Then the middle ear will come, and then this purple color is the internal ear. So we are going to discuss this part today. Okay, this is of right ear. This is another picture which is showing the left ear. Okay, pinna, and here is the external auditory canal. Okay, this is another picture in which we have removed the pinna and we are looking inside. So this is the canal. This is another picture of the right ear. So here is the external auditory meatus. So these pictures are just to give you an orientation so that we'll discuss and we'll make the things clear. External auditory meatus extends from the bottom of the concha to the tympanic membrane. Okay, so we discussed about the concha yesterday in the last video. So this is extending from the bottom of the concha up to the tympanic membrane and is about 24 millimeters long in adults. What happens actually, the external meatus describes an S-shaped curve. You can see the S here. So this is describing an S-shaped curve and it is consisting of three parts. So first you get yourself oriented with this picture. This is the transverse view of the left ear. Okay, so this is anterior and here is the posterior. So you have to imagine it as a case of left auditory meatus. Okay, so what happens? The first part, this is going upward, forward and medially. This is also called pars externa. Then the second part, that is pars intermedia, is directed upward, backward and medially. So can you see it is coming backward like this and medially? And the third part is pars interna, that is directed downward, forward and medially. So this is the third part. Okay, and broadly we can divide this external auditory meatus into two parts. The outer 1/3 is cartilaginous and inner 2/3 or the medial 2/3 is bony. So this red part is the bony part and this green part is the cartilaginous part. And due to this curvature, what do we do? To visualize the tympanic membrane by an ear speculum, the auricle is pulled upward, backward and laterally so that the meatus is made as straight as possible. So this is the reason, because it is describing an S-shaped course. That is why we have to pull the ear. Okay. So the outer cartilaginous part is 8 millimeters and the inner bony part is 16 millimeters. So total 24 millimeters long in adults. The cartilaginous part is continuous with the cartilage of the auricle. In the upper and posterior part of the meatus, the cartilage is absent and is sometimes there are few fissures are found which are called fissures of Santorini, and they are affecting the the anterior wall of the cartilaginous part. So this is about the cartilaginous part. This cartilaginous part also has hair follicles. That is why the chances of furunculosis are also there. Okay, now the bony part. So the bony part is composed of tympanic plate of the temporal bone below and in front. So here is the tympanic plate. This picture is to give you an orientation of the temporal bone. So this is the temporal bone of the right side. Okay, so here is the tympanic plate which is making the below and anterior boundary of this bony part. Okay, and this bony part is composed of squamous part of temporal bone above and behind. Here is the squamous part and here is the tympanic part. So tympanic part below and in front and squamous part above and behind. Okay. And a tympanic sulcus is present as the medial end of the meatus, where the tympanic membrane is attached obliquely. In this picture, you can see that the tympanic membrane is attached obliquely. That is why the anterior wall of the meatus is longer than the roof and the posterior wall. Okay, so this is the floor and anterior wall has been removed here. So the anterior wall and the floor are longer than the roof and the posterior wall because of this obliquity. Okay, so here will be the tympanic sulcus. Sometimes what happens, the anterior wall of the bony part also presents a foramen that is called hiatus of Hashke, and the deficiency of anterior wall is due to incomplete ossification of the tympanic plate. Okay, the lining epithelium of this external meatus is by the skin, which is continuous externally with the skin of the auricle and internally with the cuticular layer of this tympanic membrane. The skin is adherent to the bones and cartilage of the meatus, hence collection of inflammatory exudate beneath the skin produces severe pain due to tension. There are some modified coiled sweat glands known as ceruminous glands are present in the cartilaginous part. So what do? They secrete earwax or cerumen, which prevents maceration of the lining epithelium by trapped water, opposes the entry of insects and maintains a warm, humid environment for effective vibrations of the tympanic membrane. So ceruminous glands are very important. They are secreting the earwax. Okay. There is one more term that is called isthmus. So what is this? Isthmus is the constricted part of the tube. Okay. So this isthmus is the constriction which is present where the external auditory meatus is making a turn and it is going backwards and medially. So since it is the most narrow part, that is why it is the site where foreign body gets stuck. Okay, so this is the importance of this isthmus. Now, relations of the external auditory meatus. What do you see? Here is the external auditory meatus. So, what is in front? This is the head of the mandible, which is separated by a part of parotid gland. So, part of parotid gland comes here in between these two, and head of the mandible will come in anterior relation of this meatus. Above the bony part, what is there? The floor of the middle cranial fossa. So here is the middle cranial fossa. So the floor of the middle cranial fossa will form the superior relation. And postero-superiorly, mastoid antrum is there. Okay. This picture also you can see the relations. This is the mastoid part. Okay, mastoid air cells are there. So this is the postero-superior relation of this external auditory meatus. Okay. Now about the blood supply. Posterior auricular branch of external carotid artery, deep auricular branch of maxillary artery, and anterior auricular branch of superficial temporal artery. So these are the arteries which are supplying blood, and the veins drain into external jugular and maxillary veins and into the pterygoid venous plexus. About the nerve supply, the roof and the anterior wall is supplied by the auriculotemporal nerve, and the floor and the posterior wall by the auricular branch of the vagus nerve, which is called the nerve of Alderman. And this is the only cutaneous branch of the vagus. Okay, so nerve of Alderman, you should remember. So this is all about the external auditory meatus. So this way we have completed the external ear. In the previous video, part 1, we discussed about the auricle or the pinna, and this is the part 2 of external ear, that is the external auditory meatus. Thank you.